Right. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. Thank you for joining me today on the program Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, where we look at headlines from major dailies each day. And of course, we then get talking about issues of public importance. And it is, to have conversations that will enhance the decision making process, holding leaders, government to account, and it's all about having a nation that we are proud of. Good people, great nation. Femi Ojo is my name. And if you are ready, I am. Good morning. All right, thank you for staying with me. And I'll be kickstarting from, the headline segment. This day we have quite a lot of them. Let me start with what The Guardian has for us. The Guardian newspaper. Compressed natural gas scheme. Excuse me. Compressed natural gas scheme. Infrastructure deficit slows CNG adoption amid $450 million investment. And you have, the Victoria description here. The CNG. Here we have number of CNG kits distributed, 150,000. Number of conversion centers, 150. So when you look at 150 centers, conversion kits, 150,000, it means, when you do your regular math, you know that 150, centers will be handling at least 1,000 kits and the conversion. Number of vehicles converted, 50,000 plus, and CNG investment so far $450 million. And here you have number of CNG stations refueling sites nationwide, 58. State with CNG dispensing sites, 23. CNG manufacturing hub, just three. All right, and we're talking about $450 million investment already. Now, away from that, you have the Senate approves MTEV FSP probes NNPCL over 8.4 trillion naira subsidy, and federal poly with 142 students, 154 staff incur 638 million naira overhead cost. How can you beat that? I take that again. Federal Polytechnic, Federal Poly with 142 students, just 142 students. They have 154 staff. That means the number of staff outnumbers, that of the students. 142 students, 154 staff. And guess what? They have incurred 638 million naira overhead. Emphasis on the word overhead cost. How? All right, you pick up The Guardian and check news page 3. And court slam, excuse me, court orders ex-AMCON MD's arrest over alleged 76 billion naira fraud. And why Nigeria, South Africa must lead continent transformation by Tinubu. Okay. And shallow graves discovered as security dislodge IPOP ESN camps in Imo. Again, shallow graves discovered as security dislodge IPOP and ESN camps in Imo. And owners of Abuja duplexes unknown, says EFCC. They are maintaining their stand, due to one thing or another. They have refused to come out with the name or names of the owners of those seized duplexes. 753 of them, at the FCT, although many persons have come to say maybe it belongs to the former CBN governor. Speculations at best, actually. And tax reform bills, chaos in reps, Gumi, Kuka, back proposal as Pantami, others kick. That will be all from The Guardian for today. And from The Guardian, we move to the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune is next. Tax reform bills, Tinubu directs Justice Ministry, NAS, to work on concerns. I'm talking about the Nigerian Tribune. All right. Riders' bills will end financial recklessness of elite. Hookah. Gumi-backed reforms. Northern governors will withdraw agitation if, that is coming from Nasarawa government, and will be cause for transparency. Citizens impute it will negatively impact the North, CNG, and taxes not tool for economic growth. Senate Finance Committee Chairman and rowdy session in House. Northern Group storms National Assembly, backs bills. All of these are on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune. Away from that, Sanwo-Olu signs Lagos electricity bill into law. Port Harcourt refinery is working, Pengisan, and Tinubu on mission to transform Abuja satellite towns to cities. Wike. Again, Tinubu on mission to transform Abuja satellite towns to cities. That is coming from the Minister of the FCT, Yesom Wike there. And here are the stories. $2.2 billion Eurobond issuance will boost forex inflows, firm up Naira export. And South Africa relaxes visa rules for Nigerians. Again, South Africa relaxes visa rules for Nigerians. And a Edo election tribunal begins pre-hearing on Monday. Tribunal begins pre-hearing on Monday. That's on the Edo election. And reps to probe incessant boat mishaps on Nigerian waterways. Again, reps to probe incessant boat mishaps on Nigerian waterways. That is one thing that I think they should do very well, because it's becoming unbecoming, deadly, fatal most of the times, and in huge numbers as well, 10, 20, 200. And this keeps happening almost every other week, or at best, almost every other month. And that is not what we should be having. You know, we should be responsible as a government, nationally, even as a state, even at the local level. Who are the ones managing these, you know, water lines, jetties, waterways? You see people hanging on, you know, to wooden boats, boats of any kind that should carry, for example, 50. You see 100 people with loads, with cargoes on that same thing. And when disaster strikes, it ends in fatality. Reps are saying they are probing. You know, maybe never too late, but I think we should do something very important. It's not just about probing. What comes out of it, what white paper, blue paper will be erased, and the actionable things that we are supposed to do as a people, sane group of people. That's what we should do. All right, away from the Nigerian Tribune, let's move to the Punch. The Punch for today: tax reform. Tinubu orders review as protests persist in NAS. And again, tax reform. Tinubu orders review as protests persist in NAS. And here with a rider under that, rowdy session in House. Pro-Tinubu, Northern youth protest at National Assembly. Arewa group rejects bills. Again, rowdy session in House. Pro-Tinubu, Northern youth protest at National Assembly. Arewa group rejects bills. You know, it's one thing that has really, you know, caught the attention of people. And it's a pro-Northerners, pro-Tinubu, pro-this and pro-that. And you want to wonder, is this bill not towards the enhancement of the development of Nigeria, finance, economy, making things better for people, states getting to work and earning more? At least that's the intent from the handlers of that proposals. That's what he's saying. Now, if there are concerns, if there are high eyebrows that are raised, it should follow, you know, the due process. Talk to your reps. Let's talk to our, you know, senators to do due diligence. If it cannot fly, if there are issues with it, it's the National Assembly that will throw it away. or rework it, or, it's not just about now, it's about us, it's about a part of the country, it's about those who are, supporting the president pro North, pro Tinubu, pro that. And you wonder, why do we politicize all of these things and ethnicize it, if I may say it that way, and religionize it? Sometimes it's against us, it's against them. That's why you have your National Assembly members, to your parliamentarians, to do your bid, to work for you if it will not favor you. And then, they reach out to other reps, other senators to say, okay, this thing is not the way it should be. Let's rework it. That's democracy. And not every time, pro this and pro that. It's becoming boring and, it's unintelligent. I beg to differ, on that particular pro this and pro that. All right. You have this picture at the center, and it is about the UBA riding festive season and lighting up Lagos Marina Garden. You can see that there, they are big Oga and everybody, the top management guys donning the Father Christmas, the popular and seasonal Father Christmas scarves. They are riding the festive season, the Yuletide, which is almost upon us right now. Now, NLC slams in Wifuru as Akwa Ibom joins strike. Kaduna withdraws. Okay, some states, have been joining the labor strikes and all of these things. Akwa Ibom joined. The governor of Ebonyi State has been, spewing fire and brimstone, threatening to sack any worker who continues that particular labor strike. And Kaduna State started the NLC. They are the labor guys there, but they are being reported to have withdrawn that this morning. And below that, air passengers lost 19,274 luggage in 6 months. That is coming from the federal government. Air passengers lost 19,274 luggage in 6 months. That's coming from the federal government. That's quite humongous. 19,274. We don't know. Maybe some of these luggages were later found. Maybe. And here, Ekiti CP defends Farotimi's arrest in Lagos, alleges cyberbullying and defamation. A social critic and a lawyer, a civil rights advocate, Adele Farotimi, was arrested, and the Ekiti Commissioner of Police has defended Farotimi's arrest in Lagos, alleges cyberbullying and defamation. Some will say it's not just about the arrest. If he has done something that warrants arrest, he should be arrested. But, the manner in which the security agencies sometimes go about these things, one will be confused. Is it really an arrest or an abduction? Because when you arrest people, when you come into their space, you are supposed to identify yourself, read out what you are supposed to say. You have the right to remain silent. Everything you do or say will be used against you in the court of law. You are under arrest. Then the person is taken in. You let them know, either their lawyer, give them chance to reach out their family members, because this is not about terrorism here or something. Their loved ones, their family members should know, not that they are just abducted, quote unquote, and then held incommunicado, and it will take, social media uproar for the security agents. It's not just in this case to now come out to say, oh, this person is with us. Sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. I'm not sure this is how to run a country. Arrest, if the person has done what warrants it, of course, irrespective of whose ox is God, a politician, social critic, anybody, in as much as on the Nigerian soil. But when you just abduct their people, their friends, their colleagues, doesn't know where you are holding them, and it will take, social media trends, hashtag free this person, hashtag this, there, and that. That's when you now come out to say, oh, this person is with us. I'm not sure that that's how to run a country. I stand to be corrected. But then we wait to see. He's a lawyer himself. He knows what to do. And of course, the law should take its course. I am for the law. Let it be done properly. Now, reps order suspension of CBN mass retirement. 50 billion naira payoff. Again, reps order suspension of CBN mass retirement. 50 billion naira payoff. There has been these news in the public space saying there will be mass retirement at the CBN, and many of them will be paid off. What the reps are saying, hold on to that. And here, Owaobokun at birthday ceremony, Adeboye tips brother-in-law as next monarch. You know, the stool is vacant. The esteemed stool of the Owaobokun of the Jishiland, you know, formerly held by Oba Adekunle Aromolaro, who passed on to meet with his ancestors. It's open. You know, it's expected that many persons are vying for it. Many ruling houses. I think this has been narrowed down to a particular ruling house. So, all the best to the people that are there. Owaobokun at birthday ceremony, Adeboye tips brother-in-law as next monarch. And here, top strip, Emefiele cronies acquired 753 duplex estate with forest kickbacks. This is what the Punch is reporting. That's coming from the EFCC. Emefiele cronies acquired 753 duplex estate with forest kickbacks. Forex kickbacks to acquire 753. You know, I marveled yesterday on the same program when you learn 1, 2, 300, 400, 500, 600, 753 duplexes at different completion stages, construction stages rather. I like to say we are so blessed, right? Hear me, right? That things like this could be moved out of the economy. This kind of money could be moved, could be gotten, could be stolen, you know, and a nation will still be standing. So how about if actually we do it right? We fight against corruption, all of these kickbacks and all of these things, or we at least, you know, bring it to the barest minimum. How big, how blessed the kind of resources we will have if just few persons can have access to this kind, you know, have money and properties. So imagine if these things are where it's supposed to be and the people's patrimony are shared equally. We'll come out better than this, but then we'll wait for the FCC to go ahead with this prosecution. Yes, they have been granted the forfeiture, final forfeiture of all of these properties, and this is possibly one out of many. You know, the FCC are saying they should be given the kudos. Okay, we'll give you the kudos. Well done, but then it's not just about the forfeiture, it's about prosecution, you know, seeking prosecution, having watertight cases at the courts so that these persons are not just given a slap on the wrist and everything, you know, fizzles out. That's not the way it should be. And lastly, okay, maybe not lastly, here 80 billion naira fraud, court orders former AMCON MD's arrest. And finally, import duty, court cases halt grounding of 60 private jets. That will be all from the Punch. And lastly, for this morning, the Daily Trust. Daily Trust, trusting in what the Daily Trust has to say. Tax reform, this is one elephant in the room. And then trusters will be looking into that in the course of this program today. Tax reform, tax reform, tax reform bills, you know. Northern senators demand suspension of action on bills. Here we go. And we have a double rider here. Rep silence spokesman over support for legislation. Again, Reps silence spokesman over support for legislation, and Tinubu directs Justice Ministry to work with NAS on proposals. Okay, Justice Ministry has been directed to work with the National Assembly on proposals, and that is from Mr. President. And below that, you have the picture of Mr. President himself with his counterpart of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. And Mr. President is being flagged by the Foreign Affairs Minister for State, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Lady Bianca Ojukwu there. Yeah, that is what is going on in South Africa. All right, moving away from that, reps probe planned retirement of 1,000 CBN staff and 50 billion naira payoff. Okay, I read that earlier from the Punch. And Polytechnic, now listen to this, I read it earlier, but maybe I should emphasize it. Polytechnic with 142 students spent 600 million naira on personnel and overhead. Bizarre, isn't it? Now, gunman killed pastor on way to burial. Gunmen kill pastor on way to burial. Sad. And ACF may lift suspension of NEC chairman Mahman Osuman today. Again, ACF may lift suspension of NEC chairman Mahman Osuman today. And here, South Africa unveils 5-year visa for Nigerians. South Africa unveils 5-year visa for Nigerians, drops passport requirement. Okay, maybe the coast is clear, and the visa applications, will be smoother now that the, Republic of South Africa has relaxed some of these requirements, passport requirements rather. But some will say, while it is good for business, it's good for leisure, that Nigerians can travel to South Africa without much impediment right now. One will say, is this not a way of luring, Nigerians, desperate Nigerians, adventurous Nigerians, wheelie Nigerians, to cross carpet into South Africa? Because the jackpot thing is this there, Canada, US, UK, even in the Middle East as well. Now, South Africa, which many Nigerians see as a better destination, relaxed their own, visa requirement for Nigerians. So you might want to say now, many Nigerians that wouldn't have, tried to go to South Africa might want to give it a push now. And the younger persons, so the knowledge economy that we have, the social capital, skilled workers might be moving in droves again to South Africa. It appears like a good thing, but then is the economy stable enough? The prospect here, is it that good that irrespective of any country relaxing their visa applications and requirements, Nigerians will still want to be here? If you understand what I'm saying, you might want to think about that. Now, Senate investigates 8.4 trillion naira withheld by NNPCL and 3.6 trillion naira unremitted taxes. Still from the Daily Trust. Again, Senate investigate 8.4 trillion naira withheld by NNPCL and 3.6 trillion naira unremitted taxes. And away from that, still on the front page of the Daily Trust, Sultan can ask federal government to punish terror sponsors. Okay, Sultan can ask federal government to punish terror sponsors. Okay, many Nigerians will say maybe we are getting there already now. When you have the Sultan, His Eminence Saad Abubakar, who is the head of the Sultanate, and of course the Muslims in Nigeria and the Christian Association of Nigeria, saying, let's come together, speaking with one voice, and they are telling the government, to please go all out to punish terror sponsors, the terrorists themselves, their affiliates, their apologists, and especially their sponsors, who they are. Now, let me juggle our memory a bit. A few years ago, under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, former President Muhammadu Buhari, there was this release, I think, from the UAE government, stand to be correct, either from Qatar or from the UAE. A list was sent to Nigeria, by that country to say, these are terrorist sponsors. These are the guys who are sponsoring these criminals, killing our people, going on rampage in our villages, communities, abducting people, slicing their throat, turning children to fatherless ones, and women to widows, and vice versa. At the end of the day, these are the list. I remember the former minister or the minister of information then, Ohiolei Mohammed, promised, in due time, quote unquote in due time, to make the list public. And you know what? Your guess is as good as mine. Till he left, till that government left, that administration left, that list was never made public. We never, emphasis on the word, we never had either any of those on the list were prosecuted for terrorism. Now the question is, who runs a nation like that? If another nation comes to you and say, we have found out these are the people sponsoring killings in your own country, here is the list, and that nation that gets the list, your nation, my nation, Nigeria, under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari sat on the list. The minister then said, we'll make it public in the right course, except it will be made public this morning. And we are still talking about terrorism. And Khan, Sultan are saying you should punish, terror sponsors in Nigeria. Who's deceiving who here? Is this how to run a country? Till now, who are they? And we still talked about abductions here and there. 2 days ago, a bus load, of passengers was waylaid, abducted. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, we read it here. And each of those abductees have been told to go and bring 100 million naira per person. Bizarre and crazy. Who does that? 100 million naira per abductee because some sponsors were let go. The government, at some point on that last administration, looked away. They sat on that list, and maybe many other lists that we don't know about. Now we are still talking about, terrorism, and we have other ones springing up. The Lakurawas, in which some persons have said there are more than 200. We weed them away. They don't pose a problem. Till now, these are the issues. Beyond nation, my nation of good people that are supposed to be the great nation. Trust us. So we're stuck on this matter. But that will be all. This end the newspaper segment for today. When we come back, we speak to the issues that you want to hear, issues of public importance here on Morning Spring, on Western Spring Television. Trust, you can also follow us on this program on our YouTube channel at Western Spring TV, and also on our different social media platforms, and also on channel 190 Star Times DTT. Take this break now. I'll be back. Stay with me.